Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sufeng, and this channel will be all about just our history, our culture, our ethnic group, our politics, just our roots. Going back to our roots and how and where and what are we going to be doing from here on out. A little bit about myself is that I'm Laotian. My father is Laotian, and we are the tribe of Hmong. And what got me interested into this is that as a little kid, my father used to tell us a lot of stories about just how it used to be in Laos and what they've done, how they live, their culture, their religion, just everything. And at first, I did not really pay much attention because as a little kid, I was only like, 5, 6, 7 years old. I didn't pay much attention to it, but as I hear more and more about the stories that my father had taught us when we were younger, it just became it grew on me, and it kind of built me who I am today. Without those stories and without my father's guidance, I don't think that I would know as much as I would today. And so I'm grateful for my father for guiding us and telling us these stories. These stories are just so countless that I can't remember all of them, but I'm gonna try my best to recall them because I know that they are important. The most amazing thing about all of this is that it's not some distance history or recollection of parents' stories, but it is actually within one generation, within my generation, and I still see the people that came through that era, and hearing their stories, they all coincide with each other and coherent about what happened in my culture. So I just remember things like my father teaching us about how Sisavan Vatana and his family were captured by the Pathet Lao and how they were put into camp and just put into I guess they call these re-education camps, and just how they were malnutrited and just basically tortured and died in these camps. And so these are kind of those things that got me interested into this. And I remember my father used to, as a little kid, I remember my father used to take us to school, drop us off and whatnot. And then during at night when we come together and we have our family union, and we come together just to eat, just to discuss things. It's not like today where we have the internet. So back then we were able to have really nice, even today we still do the same thing, but we were able to come together and just have family talks, family meetings and whatnot. And I remember my father used to tell us these stories, and I was like, I don't really care too much about it, because as little kids, of course, we'd rather be touching toys or doing something else. But one day I remember my father reading a book, and he had an emotional attachment to this book, and this is when I was very young, of course. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, we go to school, we read all these books and whatnot, but we don't really care for it. We just want to get it done because the teacher told us that we needed to get it done. But as I watched my father read this book, he had an emotional attachment to it, and he was, just reading it with careful and with care. And I saw tears running down his face. I was just like, maybe one day I'll ask my dad what the book is about. And so when the time came, I asked my father, I said, hey, what was that book about? How come you were crying? And what is that book to you? And so my father told me that he was reading about the king of Laos, the last king of Laos, and how he was brought into camp by the Pathet Laos and just basically tortured, to death. And that hurt my father because my father was in that same era as the king, and he respected that king. And so this kind of gave me it sparked an interest in saying, why does it matter? How would this matter to me? I'm living here in a different state, in a different country. But as I stated in the beginning of this video, I said that history is what kind of brings us to where we are now, and if we don't learn the history, we can't correct it, our future actions. And so I remember my father just telling me this story, and then I was just like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should look more into this, And so this video right here is about, this channel right here is just about getting us, our younger generation, to think about the past, and let's come together. We don't want to lose our heritage. We don't want to lose our culture, but we want to come together and say, hey, what could we do? Can we reunite it? Can we reunite us? Because I know that right now we are dispersed throughout the world. Some of us live in the United States, some in France, some in Australia, just everywhere. But yet, even though we have this distance, this physical distance between us, if we do come together, we can still unite as one nation, and be with other nations, and not have this dispersion of of hatred and whatnot. And the only way that we can unite is through love. And so I wanted to just have a little quick introduction about this YouTube channel, and just kind of invite you guys to join me as we look through this, as we go through in this path to try to reunite our younger generations together, so that we can proceed in the future with love and compassion towards each other. So, yep, that's about it. Next time we'll go into details on what we want to talk about. And so, thank you guys for joining us. I'll see you guys next time.